Let me tell you something that could save you months, maybe even years of confusion. Some of you are sitting here today trying to figure out where you stand with a man. You're analyzing text messages, you're replaying conversations in your head, you're asking your friends what they think. You're looking for hidden meanings behind every word, every emoji, every delayed response. And the more you think about it, the more confused you become. Now here's the problem. When people really want something, they don't usually make it complicated. When somebody wants a job, they apply. When somebody wants success, they work. When somebody wants an opportunity, they pursue it. And when somebody truly wants to be with you, they show it. Yet every day, people convince themselves to ignore what they can clearly see. They hold on to promises instead of patterns. They believe potential is more important than reality. They keep waiting for actions that never arrive because they're attached to words that sounded good. But today, we're going to talk about the truth, not the fantasy, not the excuses, not the stories people tell themselves to avoid disappointment, the truth. Because if a man is truly interested, you shouldn't have to spend every night wondering. You shouldn't have to chase clarity. You shouldn't have to beg for effort. You shouldn't have to constantly question your worth. Real interest leaves evidence. It shows up in effort. It shows up in consistency. It shows up in priorities. It shows up in actions. And one of the most powerful things you can learn in life is how to stop listening to what people say and start paying attention to what they do. Because words can create hope, but actions reveal truth. So today, I want you to put your emotions aside for a moment. I want you to stop focusing on what you wish was happening and start focusing on what is actually happening. Because once you learn to recognize genuine interest, you stop wasting time on uncertainty. You stop chasing people who aren't chasing you. You stop investing your heart where effort doesn't exist. And you begin making room for relationships built on respect, consistency, and real commitment. So if you've ever wondered whether a man is serious, whether he genuinely cares, or whether you're simply holding on to false hope, then pay very close attention. Because by the end of this conversation, you won't need anyone to tell you the answer. His actions already have. One of the most important truths you will ever learn about relationships is this: genuine interest always creates action. Not excuses, not confusion, not endless uncertainty, action. People have an incredible ability to make time, create opportunities, and overcome obstacles when something truly matters to them. It doesn't matter how busy they are. It doesn't matter how demanding their schedule may be. When they genuinely want something, they find a way to move toward it. Yet so many people spend years trying to convince themselves that a lack of action somehow means hidden interest. They say, maybe he's shy, maybe he's scared, maybe he's waiting for the right moment, maybe he's just busy. And while those things can occasionally be true for a short period of time, they cannot explain a consistent pattern of inaction. Because interest has a natural instinct. It wants connection. Think about anything you've ever been excited about. A new opportunity, a dream job, a person you couldn't stop thinking about. You didn't need someone to force you to care. You didn't need reminders. You didn't need motivation. You acted, you reached out, you followed up, you made the effort. Why? Because interest naturally pushes people toward involvement. That's why one of the clearest signs of genuine interest is initiative. A person who wants to be in your life doesn't wait forever for opportunities to magically appear. They create them. They call, they text, they check in. They look for reasons to spend time with you. They don't disappear for days and then return expecting everything to remain the same. The reality is simple. When someone values a connection, they invest energy into maintaining it. Now let's be clear about something. This doesn't mean someone has to contact you every minute of every day. It doesn't mean they have to be perfect. It doesn't mean life won't occasionally get busy. What it means is that their overall pattern shows effort. Their actions consistently communicate, you matter to me. That's the difference. Too many people focus on isolated moments instead of overall patterns. They remember one sweet conversation and ignore weeks of inconsistency. They hold on to one romantic promise while overlooking months of disappointing behavior. They focus on potential instead of reality. But relationships are not built on potential. Relationships are built on repeated actions. Anyone can say beautiful things when the moment feels right. Anyone can make promises. Anyone can tell you what you want to hear. The real question is this: what happens after the words are spoken? Do the actions follow? Because actions are where intentions become visible. You see, words are easy. Action requires investment. Action requires effort. Action requires commitment, and that's why actions reveal what words often hide. A man who is genuinely interested doesn't leave you carrying the entire relationship on your shoulders. He doesn't expect you to start every conversation, make every plan, solve every problem, and keep everything alive by yourself. He participates, he contributes, he pursues. Not because he's following some rule book, not because he's trying to impress you, but because he wants the connection. The problem is that many people have been taught to ignore what is obvious. They've been taught to search for hidden meanings behind disappointing behavior. They've been taught to excuse things that should not be excused. They've been taught that if they just wait long enough, love will magically transform inconsistency into commitment. But life doesn't work that way. What you repeatedly experience is usually the truth. If someone repeatedly shows effort, that's information. If someone repeatedly shows indifference, that's information too. Your job is not to argue with reality. Your job is to recognize it. One of the most empowering moments in life is when you stop chasing explanations and start observing behavior. Because behavior doesn't lie for very long. Someone may tell you they care. Someone may tell you they miss you. Someone may tell you they want a future with you. But if their actions consistently move in the opposite direction, believe the actions. Always believe the actions. People reveal their priorities through what they do repeatedly, not occasionally, not once in a while, repeatedly. And when you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop begging for attention. You stop negotiating for effort. You stop trying to convince someone to see your value. Instead, you begin paying attention to who is already showing you that value through their actions. That's where peace begins. That's where confidence grows, because you realize that genuine interest is not something you have to force, chase, or constantly question. When a man is truly interested, his actions start answering questions before you even have to ask them. His effort creates clarity. His consistency creates security. His behavior removes doubt. And while no relationship is perfect, one thing remains true every single time. When interest is real, action follows. Not eventually, not someday, not after endless excuses. Action follows interest. And that simple truth can save you from years of confusion, heartbreak, and wasted energy. If there is one thing that separates genuine interest from temporary attraction, it is consistency. Anyone can be impressive for a day. Anyone can be charming for a weekend. Anyone could say the right words during a good mood or make grand promises when emotions are running high. But consistency is different. Consistency requires intention. Consistency requires effort. Consistency requires character. And that is why consistency reveals the truth about someone's feelings more clearly than almost anything else. Many people get trapped because they mistake occasional attention for genuine commitment. They experience one amazing conversation and assume it means something permanent. They receive a few days of intense affection and believe they've found certainty. They get excited by the highs and ignore the long periods of silence that follow. But real relationships are not measured by occasional moments. They are measured by repeated patterns. The question is not what someone does once. The question is what they do consistently. Because anyone can make you feel special when it's convenient. The real test comes when life gets busy, when work becomes stressful, when responsibilities increase, when distractions appear, when challenges arise. That's when consistency becomes visible. A man who is truly interested doesn't only show up when everything is easy. He doesn't disappear whenever life becomes complicated. He doesn't make you feel important one week and invisible the next. Instead, he maintains a steady presence, not perfection. Presence. There's a huge difference. Too many people expect perfection and become disappointed, but perfection has never been the standard. Human beings are imperfect. We all have difficult days. We all make mistakes. We all experience moments when life demands more of our attention. The issue isn't occasional imperfection. The issue is chronic inconsistency. The issue is when someone's effort becomes unpredictable. One day they're fully invested. The next day they're distant. One week they're talking about the future, the next week they're nowhere to be found. One moment they're making you feel like a priority, the next moment you're questioning whether they even care. That emotional roller coaster is exhausting. And unfortunately, many people mistake that emotional intensity for love. It isn't love, it's uncertainty. And uncertainty can become addictive because it keeps people hoping for the next high. But healthy relationships aren't built on emotional chaos. They're built on stability. They're built on trust. They're built on consistency. Think about the people you trust most in your life. Why do you trust them? Is it because they were amazing once? No, it's because they've shown you over and over again who they are. They've been reliable, predictable, dependable. Their actions have matched their words repeatedly. Trust isn't created through one grand gesture. Trust is built through hundreds of small moments that happen consistently over time. The same principle applies to romantic relationships. When someone genuinely cares about you, you don't constantly wonder where you stand. You don't spend every day analyzing text messages. You don't have to decode mixed signals. You don't have to become an expert in excuses, because consistency creates clarity, and clarity creates confidence. One of the biggest mistakes people make is falling in love with potential rather than patterns. They focus on what someone could become. They focus on promises. They focus on possibilities. Meanwhile, they ignore the actual behavior happening right in front of them. But the future is not built on potential. The future is built on patterns. What someone repeatedly does today often tells you more about tomorrow than any promise they could ever make. That's why consistency matters so much. It tells you whether someone's feelings are deep enough to survive beyond temporary emotion. Because emotions come and go. Excitement comes and goes. Infatuation comes and goes. But consistent effort is a choice. It's a decision someone continues making long after the initial excitement fades. And that's where real interest separates itself from temporary attraction. A man who is genuinely interested continues showing effort after the butterflies settle down. He continues communicating. He continues investing. He continues showing up, not because he has to, because he wants to. You should never have to beg someone to consistently care. You should never have to convince someone to consistently communicate. You should never have to fight for the bare minimum of attention and respect. Healthy relationships are not perfect, but they should provide a sense of emotional security. You should feel valued more often than confused. You should feel appreciated more often than neglected. You should feel respected more often than uncertain. And all of that comes from consistency. The beautiful thing about consistency is that it removes the need for constant guessing. You stop searching for hidden meanings. You stop creating explanations for disappointing behavior. You stop holding your breath waiting for someone to become who they've promised to be. Instead, you can simply observe. Watch the pattern, watch the effort, watch the reliability. Because over time, consistency exposes the truth. Not the version people talk about, not the version they promise, the real version. And when someone consistently shows up, consistently communicates, consistently invests in the relationship, and consistently makes you feel valued, you don't have to wonder whether their interest is genuine. Their actions answer the question. Day after day, week after week, month after month. Because in the end, consistency is more powerful than charm, stronger than promises, and louder than words. And whenever you want to know how someone truly feels about you, don't just listen to what they say, watch what they consistently do. One of the greatest lessons you can learn about relationships is that priorities are never determined by words. They are revealed through actions. Everyone has 24 hours in a day. Everyone has responsibilities. Everyone has challenges. Everyone gets tired. Everyone becomes busy. Yet somehow, despite all those responsibilities, people still find time for the things that truly matter to them. They find time to watch their favorite shows. They find time to talk to their closest friends. They find time to pursue hobbies they enjoy. They find time to check their phones dozens of times throughout the day. Why? Because priorities are not about having time. They're about making time. And that's a distinction many people fail to understand when it comes to relationships. Far too often, someone hears the phrase, "I've just been busy," and immediately accepts it as the complete explanation for a lack of effort. Now, let's be fair. Life does get busy. People have careers, family responsibilities, personal struggles, goals, and obligations. Nobody is available every moment of every day. But being busy and being uninterested are not the same thing. A person who genuinely cares about you may have a packed schedule, but they still find ways to stay connected. They send the text, they make the call, they check in, they communicate. They make sure you know that even when life is demanding, you still matter. That's what priorities look like. Not perfection, not unlimited availability, intentional effort. Because when someone values a relationship, they don't simply squeeze it into whatever free time remains. They intentionally create space for it. Think about the things that are most important in your own life. You protect them, you invest in them, you make sacrifices for them, you adjust your schedule around them. You don't do that because someone forces you to. You do it because those things matter to you. Relationships work the same way. When a man is truly interested, you don't have to constantly remind him that you exist. You don't have to fight for a position in his life. You don't have to compete for basic attention. You become part of his priorities. And one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity is understanding this truth. People usually make room for what they genuinely value. That realization can be uncomfortable because it removes many of the excuses we often hide behind. Sometimes we want to believe that someone cares more than their actions suggest. We want to believe that circumstances are the only obstacle. We want to believe that one day, everything will suddenly change. But reality has a way of revealing itself through behavior. You see, promises are easy to make. People promise future effort all the time. They promise future commitment. They promise future attention. They promise future consistency. But relationships are not built on future promises. They are built on present actions. The question isn't what someone says they will do someday. The question is what they are doing now. Because actions happening today tell you far more than promises about tomorrow. Many people spend months, even years, waiting for someone to become the person they've described themselves as. They become attached to words instead of evidence, attached to hope instead of reality, attached to potential instead of patterns. And while hope is powerful, it should never blind you to what is actually happening. If someone consistently makes you feel like an option instead of a priority, pay attention. If someone always has time for everything except you, pay attention. If someone repeatedly gives energy to things they enjoy while giving excuses when it comes to you, pay attention. Not because you should become bitter, not because you should become angry, but because awareness protects you. Awareness keeps you from investing your heart where effort is absent. A healthy relationship should never leave you feeling like you're asking for too much when you're simply asking for basic consideration. Wanting communication is not asking for too much. Wanting consistency is not asking for too much. Wanting effort is not asking for too much. Wanting respect is not asking for too much. The right person won't view those things as unreasonable demands. They'll view them as natural parts of a meaningful connection. That's because genuine interest changes behavior. It influences decisions. It affects priorities. When someone truly values you, they don't just talk about making you important. They demonstrate it. You see it in how they communicate. You see it in how they follow through. You see it in how they make room for you even during busy seasons of life. And perhaps the most empowering thing you can do is stop measuring someone's feelings by their promises and start measuring them by their priorities. Because priorities are difficult to fake over long periods of time. Eventually, what matters most rises to the surface. Eventually, people reveal where their energy naturally goes. Eventually, their actions tell the story that words can no longer maintain. And once you understand this, you stop chasing validation. You stop negotiating for attention. You stop trying to earn a place in someone's life that should be freely given. Instead, you begin recognizing your own value. You begin understanding that you deserve reciprocal effort. You deserve mutual investment. You deserve someone whose actions consistently reflect their words. Someone who doesn't just tell you that you matter. Someone who shows you. Because at the end of the day, priority is more powerful than promises. Anyone can promise. Anyone can talk. Anyone can describe a future. But only genuine interest creates consistent effort in the present. And when a man is truly interested, you won't have to search endlessly for proof. His priorities will provide it. Not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but repeatedly, clearly, and consistently. Because people always make room for what they truly value. And that truth is one of the most important relationship lessons you'll ever learn. One of the most painful things people do in relationships is ignore what is right in front of them because they are hoping for something different. They see the signs, they notice the patterns, they feel the inconsistency. But instead of accepting the reality of the situation, They begin searching for explanations that make the truth easier to avoid. They tell themselves, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Maybe things will change. Maybe I just need to be more patient. And while patience can be a valuable quality, there is a difference between being patient and refusing to see what someone's actions are already telling you. The truth is, most people don't struggle because they lack information. They struggle because they don't want to accept the information they already have. They keep looking for answers even after the answers have been revealed. And that's where so much confusion begins. When someone's actions consistently leave you questioning their interests, their effort, or their intentions, the issue is often not a lack of clarity. The issue is a refusal to trust what you are seeing. Because deep down, many people hope that words will eventually outweigh behavior. They hope that promises will become reality. They hope that potential will become commitment. But relationships are not built on hopes alone. Relationships are built on evidence. The evidence is found in actions, not speeches, not excuses, not future plans, actions. Think about it for a moment. If someone says they care about you, but repeatedly disappears when things matter, what should you believe? If someone says you're important, but constantly treats you like an afterthought, what should you believe? If someone talks about a future with you, but never invests in the present, what should you believe? The answer is simple. Believe the behavior. Not because words never matter. Words do matter. Communication matters. Promises matter. Intentions matter. But actions are what give those things credibility. Without action, words become empty. Without action, promises become fantasies. Without action, intentions remain nothing more than ideas. That's why one of the strongest things you can do for yourself is stop overanalyzing every sentence and start paying attention to patterns. Patterns reveal the truth. Anyone can have a good day. Anyone can make a grand gesture. Anyone can create a memorable moment. But patterns show who someone really is. Patterns show what they consistently value. Patterns show how they genuinely feel. A single moment can be misleading. A repeated pattern rarely is. And yet so many people ignore patterns because they become emotionally attached to exceptions. They focus on the one time someone showed up while ignoring the 10 times they didn't. They focus on one beautiful conversation while ignoring months of inconsistency. They focus on isolated moments of effort while overlooking an overall lack of investment. In doing so, they create a version of reality that doesn't actually exist. They fall in love with possibilities instead of paying attention to facts. Now, this isn't about becoming cynical. It's not about assuming the worst in people. It's not about judging someone based on a single mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has difficult seasons. Everyone experiences moments when they fall short. What matters is the overall pattern. What matters is what someone repeatedly chooses to do. Because repetition reveals priorities. Repetition reveals character. Repetition reveals commitment. And once you understand that, something powerful begins to happen. You stop chasing explanations. You stop conducting emotional investigations. You stop searching for hidden meanings in every text message, every delayed response, every confusing interaction. Instead, you become an observer. You simply watch, you listen, you pay attention, and the truth begins to reveal itself. One of the greatest forms of self-respect is trusting what consistent behavior is showing you. Not what you wish were true, not what you hope will happen, not what someone promises for the future. What is actually happening right now. Because reality is where your decisions should be made, not fantasy, not potential, reality. Too many people waste years waiting for evidence that has already arrived. They wait for clarity while standing in the middle of it. They wait for certainty while repeatedly experiencing the same disappointing patterns. The signs were there all along. The answers were there all along. But hope kept convincing them to keep looking. There comes a moment when maturity requires you to stop searching for a different answer and accept the one that actions have already provided. That acceptance is not weakness, it's strength, it's wisdom, it's self-respect. Because when you accept reality, you free yourself from endless confusion. You stop arguing with facts. You stop negotiating with patterns. You stop trying to force people to become who they have repeatedly shown they are not ready to be. And when you stop doing that, you gain something incredibly valuable: peace. Peace comes when you no longer need constant reassurance. Peace comes when you trust what behavior is telling you. Peace comes when you understand that genuine interest doesn't need endless interpretation. It becomes visible through effort, visible through consistency, visible through actions. At the end of the day, the strongest people are not those who can create the most convincing excuses for someone else's behavior. The strongest people are those who can honestly observe reality and respond accordingly. Because actions tell stories that words cannot hide forever. Patterns reveal truths that promises cannot erase. And when you learn to trust those patterns, you stop living in confusion and start living in clarity. That clarity may not always tell you what you want to hear, but it will always tell you what you need to know. And that knowledge has the power to protect your heart, preserve your self-worth, and guide you toward relationships where you never have to question whether you truly matter. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to remember one thing above all else. You were never meant to spend your life chasing proof that someone cares about you. You were never meant to beg for attention, negotiate for effort, or convince someone to see your value. The right relationship does not require you to constantly wonder where you stand. The right relationship does not leave you trapped in confusion. The right relationship does not force you to become a detective searching for clues. Because when someone is truly interested, their actions speak before their words ever have to. Their effort creates confidence. Their consistency creates trust. Their priorities create security. And their behavior answers questions that words alone never can. So from this day forward, stop giving more importance to promises than patterns. Stop focusing on what someone says they might do someday. Start paying attention to what they are doing today, because today's actions are the clearest window into tomorrow's reality. And if someone's behavior continually leaves you confused, uncertain, and questioning your worth, don't waste years trying to rewrite the story. Listen to what the actions are telling you. Believe what the patterns are showing you. Trust what reality is revealing. That isn't being negative, that's being wise. The moment you stop chasing mixed signals is the moment you start protecting your peace. The moment you stop settling for inconsistency is the moment you start raising your standards. And the moment you stop begging for a place in someone's life is the moment you begin recognizing the value you already possess. Never forget this. You deserve someone who is excited to talk to you, someone who makes time for you, someone who follows through on their promises, someone who treats you like a priority instead of an option, someone whose actions match their words. Because real interest doesn't create endless confusion. Real interest creates clarity. So walk away from uncertainty. Walk away from excuses. Walk away from anything that requires you to ignore obvious truths. And move toward the people who show up, who invest, who care, and who prove through their actions that you matter. Your time is valuable. Your heart is valuable. And your future is far too important to spend it waiting for someone to become what their actions have never shown them to be. Remember, when a man is truly interested, you won't have to force it, chase it, or constantly question it. You'll see it, you'll feel it, and most importantly, you'll never have to wonder. Thank you, and never settle for anything less than the effort, respect, and consistency you deserve.